I'm sure you, at this point, can fathom the people from outside looking in the mafia world. It's so intriguing that this existed in America. And after watching The Irishman, by the way, you mafia folks had your hands in everything in the history of America.
Well, we did. And it's what I tell people is that, we survived and prospered for well over 100 years in this country. And the reason for that is because we infiltrated society, from the guy on the street in the numbers business right up to the White House and everything in between. I mean, we controlled the unions. We had, a lot of politicians that we had strong influence over. And, you control the unions in this country, you basically control the country. And at one point in time, between the Teamsters and, the waiters and bartenders and, and everything at the docks, I mean, we really had it sewn up. So, for a period of time in this country, I always say, Pat, the golden era of the mob in America, and especially in New York, was really from the 50s right through the mid-80s when Giuliani started to go crazy with the racketeering laws. But during that, 40-year period, or so 30-year period, rather, we really controlled a lot of what was going on in this country.
How do you control a union?
Yeah, how's that happen? Because we watched Hoffa. In The Irishman, you got Hoffa in the mob. In the mob, we're getting into it, right? That was ultimately the demise of Hoffa. How do you control the unions? You just get in top with the president and the people on top of that?
Yeah, I mean, you install your people there, and Hoffa, to a great degree, he owed a lot of what he had, to guys like us. And by the way, let me just comment on The Irishman. I thought it was a good movie. I really did. Those performances by those guys are always great. I thought Pacino kind of stole the show. But I will tell you this. It was total fabrication.
Whoa! Whoa!
No, Pat, Sheeran did not kill Hoffa. He's been discredited so many times, and I know that for a fact. And he absolutely did not kill Joey Gallo. I mean, that was right in my time, my family. And, I obviously knew what was going on back then. We almost went to war over that. And I was a recruit at the time, but I was intimately involved in what was going on there. And the shooters for Gallo were known. I mean, this guy just made it up. I mean, he absolutely made it up. Aside from that, the movie was good. I mean, how can Scorsese and that cast make a bad film?
Right. That's true.
But I will tell you this. I was really surprised with Pesci's performance because I knew Russ Bufalino very well. He was very close with our family. I knew him well. And, he did a good job because Russ was that kind of low-key kind of guy. He wasn't as powerful as they portrayed him to be in the movie, but, it was a good job. And Fat Tony Salerno, the boss of the Genovese family, I was pretty close with Tony. We had a couple of, good relationships, I would say, in business. And I thought that Dominic played him very well, too. It was a good job.
Who was
the movie was a fabrication. Remember that.
That's heartbreaking. I've literally been. I just said this morning on my radio show that it felt like I was taking a walk through American history class. Turns out it was all bullshit. That's a little bit upsetting to me. But the Donnie Brasco, obviously, there's documentaries and movies about that. The Sopranos, now The Irishman, where you said it's fabricated. What is the most lifelike movie or documentary or something like that about the La Cosa Nostra if we were to want to watch something? And what's the worst? What's the most fabricated thing you've ever seen about the life?
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you my opinion, one of the best, most accurate movies. You're going to be surprised about this. But it just really factually, it was right on point. And that was the Gotti movie that was done by HBO many years ago with Armand Assante playing Gotti. If you haven't seen it, go on YouTube and watch it. It was terrifically. Armand Assante just killed the role. He was great. Everybody was good, and it was very accurate. They went from court records and wiretaps and all of that and got the information. It was a great movie. I loved it. And like I say, you can get it on YouTube, I guess. I think the most accurate was Goodfellas, quite honestly. And Donnie Brasco was pretty accurate. Now, there's some things that were fabricated in there also, but the general storyline on both of those movies was pretty on point. And I thought Pacino, as Lefty Guns, he did a fabulous job. I thought it was one of his best acting jobs, really. He was great in Donnie Brasco. And Goodfellas, I mean, for me, Joe Pesci stole the show there. I mean, he was just
I don't shine shoes no more.
And it was fairly accurate, both of those movies. So I say, those three would be on the top. The worst movie, absolute worst was the recent Gotti movie.
Travolta,
So bad.
easy.
Oh my! You know that was the only movie I know of that got 0 on Rotten Tomatoes. 0. And I felt bad because I know the Gotti family pretty well, and I said, man, it should have never been made. It was just terrible, terrible.